Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I probably would say this until I'll be blue in the face. The Europa League is our only and main focus until the rest of the season. We have to win the Europa League. That is why Amorim took the risk that he did in the game against Brentford. Yes, we lost 4-3, 16 losses in the league now, and it's obvious. This is the worst Manchester United team ever. Yes, you can say the one that got relegated is worse, but I don't think so. That team had better players than this particular team. Now, of course, he did start the likes of Obi, Amos, and Fredrickson, and the three of them had mixed performances. Fredrickson, again, had a good performance, in my opinion. He again showed that he can be part of Manchester United's first team for next season as well, because I think with him performing the way that he does, and if it continues to be like this, he'll be part of the team for the preseason, and surely he can fight for a position in the first team for next season. I think that is also what Amorim is looking ahead to. Harry Amos, we know he started against Leicester, we started against Newcastle, and he did play against Wolves as well. And in those three games, he did quite well, decent games. But against Brentford, not as good as yet. And it's mainly because of the physicality. Same goes for Obi. He had a very good few moments in the game. He probably would have gotten a goal if not for Van den Berg, who blocked his effort, but he made that chance himself. And that is something that Hoyland doesn't have. Cheeto still looked like more of a threat than what Hoyland does when he plays. And of course, we know Hoyland's going to start against Athletic Bilbao for the second leg at Old Trafford. But again, that is that particular game that is still to come. But like I said, the young players were kind of bullied against Brentford, similar to how they were bullied against Newcastle. Yes, that was a much, much worse game, and we had more experienced players playing. But if you look at the team that played against Brentford was Manchester United's youngest ever Premier League starting 11. And that in itself is testament to Amorim taking the risk that he need to prolong and protect Bruno Fernandes, to protect a Mason Mount. Luke Shaw, who started as captain, didn't have a very good game, but again got taken off because of precautions in order to keep them fit for the Europa League games, which is the semi-final, and of course making sure that we are fit for the final, because let's be honest, we are in the Europa League final. We have to make sure that we are in there because the chances of us going to that Europa League final is quite high. So it was right on the one hand for Amorim to save these players from getting any injuries. Mazarawi wasn't even in the squad at all, as Amorim said he would do. Maguire came on, after De Ligt got injured, which is more of a concern to me than the scoreline, than the loss. Because it was good to see him come back from injury. It was good to have someone of Matthias De Ligt's quality back in the team, starting and being that benefit that he can be. But the problem again, he got injured. And yes, he should have, play should have been stopped. Brentford's goal should not have been allowed. But again, the referees tend to always change the rules when it is Manchester United, because he lifted his hand to say that he needs help from, our physios and that. And the referee just didn't stop the game. And Brentford scored. But since we're talking about that, which again, it's not really my focus, I said before the game, I don't think we'll win it. I did say that it doesn't matter if we lose that game as well. We're not getting relegated, but we probably can still finish 17th, which again is very, very disgraceful. It's bad. Even if we win the Europa League and get Champions League football that way, it still will not be a successful season, because the Premier League is basically what we should be focusing on, and I'm sure that Ruben Amorim knows that as well. But the game itself, we started quite well, if I have to say that, because we managed to deal with Brentford's press. And yes, there were moments where we couldn't find the correct passes, but when we did get the ball, especially for the first goal, very, very good interplay and one-touch football between Garnacho and Mainu, and Garnacho putting the ball into the right area, the area where Hoyland is supposed to be running into to try and score when he does play. But Mount got into that position and scored. And in that point, you thought, cool, we 1-0 ahead, let's keep the ball. But for some reason, Brentford immediately recovered and they scored 2 goals. And the first goal is a bit unlucky, a Luke Shaw own goal. MS being bullied in the air, but that will come with time and with age when he does develop, in terms of his body and his technicality. But all in all, it was an unfortunate goal. It went in, and at that point, 1-1. Okay, cool, no problem. The second goal they got, the lift was down. The game should have been stopped. But with the way the laws are these days, if it's not a head injury, then the game is not going to be stopped. So we've seen it time and time again. The game got played on and they scored their goal. I kind of feel that Bayern should have maybe come out for that cross. It was kind of floated quite high in the air. So maybe he could have tracked it, and tried to put the attacker off that scored the goal. I think his name is Schade, if I'm not mistaken. So Bayern again, not much experience in the Premier League. So I don't really expect a superstar performance from him. Our team was inexperienced. We forget that Mainu and Garnacho are still kids, by their ages, and they are still young, but they are seen as first team players just because of how long they've been in the first team since they've made their debuts, from the academy. So it's fine. Let's not lose our heads because we lost to Brentford, because we certainly, after they scored their third and their fourth, the third goal in itself, not much that we can do there, just a very good goal at that. And of course, the fourth goal that they scored, again, another good pass through, and maybe we should do better, but again, the defense was split. Maybe Bayern should come out, try and stop, the final pass. We can talk about that all day, but again, it was goals that we don't concede when we have our first team players playing. We know that Man United are not as good when the first team players are not starting. This is obvious. We don't have the squad needed in order to rotate and still have that high quality competitive edge against our opponents. That will come as we improve our recruitment, because that is where Manchester United will be succeeding or failing. It is by recruitment for the new season to come. Now, of course, we do have the Europa League semi-final coming up. Very good goal by Garnacho as well when he made it 4-2. A wonderful strike. Same for Ahmad. When Ahmad came on, you could see the quality difference. You could see the way he runs, the way he attacks his defender, the decisions that he makes. Excellent. I just can't find the words to continue to speak about how good Ahmad is when he does play for us and how good he is for Ruben Amorim and his system. But the focus is the Europa League. Subscribe to the channel, drop a like, let me know what you think, must be done for Thursday. How do we approach the game? Should we go at them, which I think is the right way to do, or do we sit back and wait for them to leave a bit of gaps and then we try and hit them on the counter and expose them that way? We'll talk about that in the preview ahead of that Europa League second league. So, always a pleasure talking to you guys. Thank you for those who have subscribed. I do see that we are growing, the family is getting bigger, and I am truly, truly thankful for your support. Have a wonderful day further. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. If you want more content on Manchester United, like, share and subscribe.